Good evening, and welcome to Envisioning a Happy Humboldt, a collective meditation experience. This is day 4 of 10. We'll be having our main event on January 12th at the D Street Center from 5:30 to 7:30. Please check out the links below to our Linktree, Facebook, or Instagram for more details about that. For those of you who are joining online, feel free to leave any questions or comments down below, and our community will respond to you as soon as possible. All of these videos are being recorded, so if you miss a night, you will be able to follow the link on Facebook and find the recordings. No matter when you're engaging with these practices, you're still benefiting the collective, so please know that even if you're not here in the present moment, you're still in the present. Thank you for being here. My name is Gene, and I'm a priest and a head teacher at Arcata Zen Temple, also known as Forest Heart Temple. And I'll be talking about and offering to you an intro to Zen meditation. And very specifically, I want to offer you an orientation from within Buddhist tradition, not about Buddhist tradition. So the context of this is ideally to expose ourselves to the ancient teachings, and these ancient teachings go hand in hand with an experience that allows us to see the actual workings of our own minds and hearts. Basically, Zen practice is a practice of ongoing inquiry. In this inquiry, meditation is central. And learning about what elders of a variety of cultures have said about Buddha's teaching, what we call doctrine, that was sourced by the Buddha. And thirdly, participating with community in supportive and encouraging ways, much like this event. Contemplative faiths have a lot in common, and there are some things that are unique to Buddha's teaching. Specifically, the Buddha taught about interdependence. That's not a surprise to us that everything is entwined and interrelated. It's also not a surprise to us that things are impermanent. We know that everything changes, even though we might like some things to stay the same. And the Buddha also taught about the cycle of cause and effect. Importantly, after Buddha's awakening, now about 2,560 something years ago, after the awakening, the Buddha didn't stop meditating, saying, now I'm awake and I can stop that business. He actually continued to teach meditation as a central practice. And also importantly, the Buddha taught this in what I would call a non-elite way. This wasn't unique to the privileged few, and went out of his way to say, don't believe me. See for yourself. And it's an experiential practice. So the Buddha went out of his way to offer us, in his compassion, offer us a path to actually see for ourselves. And this is called the Eightfold Path. It includes being attentive to our speech, to our action, and even to the way we would view the world. These are often called right view, right speech, right thought. But the word right is a little biased, I would say, or confusing, because it doesn't mean not wrong, but rather upright and dignified or graceful. So in order to enunciate view, we would say it's inclusive view. And in order to say thought, we would say it's holistic thought. And for speech, we would say it's harmonizing speech. So of this list of 8 aspects of the path that the Buddha offered, one of those is mindfulness. And we would say that it's attentive and settled mindfulness. And concentration is another. That is complete concentration, allowing ourselves to be completely absorbed in the moment as it unfolds. I'd like you to do something for me, and that is You know, commonly these days the word mindfulness is thrown around quite a bit. I would say even in a casual way, and it's not incorrect to treat it lightheartedly. But the way it has been used is it has been used, for example, in the business world as a way of making people more productive if you bring mindfulness to your work, for example. So here's what I would like you to do for me and for the community at large, for Buddhists actually all over the world. When people talk about mindfulness, please keep it in the context of the Eightfold Path. It is one, and there are 7 other aspects to the Eightfold Path that the Buddha taught. Particularly, it's important to me that we not be colonizing about the Eightfold Path and Buddhist teachings, that we're not removing concentration and this mindful attention from the rest of the Eightfold Path. So meditation fits in the basic doctrine of the Buddha because meditation brings us to being able to bring settled and mindful attention to every activity. So meditation is not limited to the seated posture that I'll be mentioning to you in just a moment. It can be included in every activity of every day, walking, talking, singing, any kind of work that we're doing can call for mindful and concentrated attention that pays attention to holistic thinking and inclusive view, harmonizing speech, for example. The gift of meditation itself is that it kind of simplifies everything. In a way, it's a very, I want to say, scientific experiment in which almost every variable is eliminated so that we can actually see and experience the mind and heart at work in an unobstructed way. So here's the posture that we teach in the Zen Temple. Please establish a firm base that we would think of as a triangle. If you're seated on a cushion, put your knees close to the floor, on the floor, and the bottom of your spine, your buttocks, on a cushion, stably resting there. This triangle serves as a tripod, literally, stabilizing the rest of the body. On the basis of this tripod, which can also be accomplished sitting in a chair, it's no different really. The base of the spine and the buttocks are on the seat of the chair, and rather than the knees being on the floor, the feet are firmly planted on the floor. Let me talk to you a bit about the spine in our posture. You might find it comfortable to sit on the front half to 1/3 of your cushion or on the edge of your chair. And what this causes is that the pelvis kind of tips forward, and that tip forward creates a gentle curve in the low back. That gentle curve in the low back is part of the natural design of the spine. When the curve of the low back is present, all of the vertebrae can stack right up on top of one another, and the rest of the skeletal system falls into place. So with the curve in the low back, the spine is upright. Make some effort to extend the spine through the neck and through the top of the head, as if there is a thread connecting the top of your head skyward. Gentle extension in the neck. And then check the geometry of your body. The ears are in line with the shoulders, and the shoulders are in line with the hip. Not leaning too far forward, not leaning too far back, but in a plumb line. And similarly, the nose and chin are in line with the navel, the bottom of the spine, all lined up. You can gently rock side to side, and that supports you to find your center point in that direction. and you can gently rock forward and back. That supports you to find your center point, your balance point in that direction. In Zen, the eyes are open during meditation and downcast at about a 45-degree angle. It's not just physiological, that it actually engages the mind and heart in a way. When the eyes are open, we stay engaged with the world. So this practice is not a practice of trying to transcend or trying to go away, but rather to immerse ourselves completely in the world as it is. So the eyes are open, all of the sense gates are open. One hears sounds in the environment, the sounds come and go. One might see shadows, light passing. We just let those images come and go. And in the school of Zen in which I teach, we sit facing the wall as a way of minimizing all distractions. This adds to the capacity to develop complete concentration. A couple of other posture points that I'll describe to you, and then we'll have some meditation together. Please put your hands this way. Your right hand is cupped, and your left hand is cupped inside there, and the thumb tips gently touch. The pinky fingers then rest up against the body, just an inch or so below the navel. This is what in the Sino-Japanese is called the hara. This is the central energy point of the human body. The way this was described to me once was that life energy is always pushing up and gravity is always pulling down, and the hara is where those energies meet in the human body. So we place this, that's called the cosmic mudra, up against the body at the hara. And then the arms and shoulders kind of echo the nice round posture of the hands. So any one of these points of the posture can be used as a mindful attention grabbing point. For example, I'll describe my thumb tips to you. I find that when I have sat down for zazen, especially if I've been in a busy day, a distracted time, quite often my thumb tips are working hard against one another. This is usually a signal to me that my mind is very, very busy. So I make the effort to relax my thumb tips and gently touch them together. This was described to me as one could hold a piece of paper there, about that much pressure, and someone could easily slip that piece of paper away. So not too much pressure, just enough. The converse is also true for me, that if I come in to the meditation hall a little sleepy or distracted, my thumb tips have a tendency to kind of drift apart. Oh, then I pay attention. Oh, bring them back together, gently touching. And this brings my mind and heart also back together. There's another very subtle point that I will try to describe to you. The tip of the tongue up against the roof of the mouth, just behind the teeth. This is described in martial arts and in dance. We use it in the meditation posture as well. When the tip of the tongue is placed there, it allows thinking mind and feeling heart to communicate. It's a kind of a neurological aspect of the posture. So this is not a passive practice, even though when we're sitting stably, it looks very calm. Maybe, it's used as an adjective these days. It looks all Zen. And it looks very passive. It is not actually passive at all. It's a very active inquiry into your own mind and heart in the context and the connections in which you live. Once we're able to settle on this context and connection, we instantly kind of know how to act. Knowing our true self, it's effortless, but not passive. I want to say one more thing, that this kind of stillness feels a little bit like dissociation, but it's not really. It's actually such a full embodiment, that the distinction between what we call outside and what we call inside begins to blur. This is a training in what I would call non-judgmental, present moment awareness. Another way to feel it is to feel it as a kind of relaxed alertness. So when you're setting up your home space, a quiet environment helps your practice because it allows you to settle completely as a training, a minimizing of distractions. The regularity of practice matters more than the length of any particular session. The body begins to rely upon it at a particular time of day and settles into, oh, now I'm preparing to become stable and clear. Now I'm experiencing being stable and clear. Now I'm carrying forward this stable and clear into the activities of my life. In this way, we can see that it's not limited to seated meditation. This tradition has cultural influences from India, from China, from Thailand, actually, Korea, Tibet, Japan, and also now from the Western world. The teachings you will hear if you go to a temple event all reinforce the teachings of the Buddha. And the ancient teachings were delivered, of course, to the people in those cultures and those places in those times who were listening in their context. So when we listen to these teachings in a modern context, we do the same. It's an important aspect of meditation to bring discernment, not judgment, but discernment into the activity of daily life. So let's settle into maybe 5 minutes or so of seated meditation. I'll open with the sound of 3 bells, which is traditional in our temple, and after 5 minutes, we'll close with 1 bell. Remember to begin your meditation by rocking side to side, forward and back, and end your meditation in a very gentle way. Please gently rock back and forth. Begin to prepare the body for activity, for movement, for returning to the more active part of the day. Very often, what people have found during seated meditation is how busy the mind becomes. My teacher's name was Catherine, and her teacher was named Suzuki. This is Shunryu Suzuki of San Francisco Zen Center lineage. And he spoke about the activity of the mind this way. The thoughts will always come and go. Please don't invite them in for tea. A particularly sweet way of just, the mind demands attention, but we don't have to give it all of the attention that it demands all of the time. Wonderful to just let the body settle. And in this settling, part of what we are cultivating here is the ground for generosity, the ground for ethical behavior, the ground for bringing some vigor or enthusiasm to our lives, the ground for equanimity and concentration. These aspects of our cultivation are called the perfections. Also not to be contrasted in the same way that right and wrong or perfect, imperfect, not to be contrasted that way, but rather this is what we would like to cultivate because we see that the effect of generosity and ethical behavior brings fruit. So we make the effort to become still, to stop, and to interrupt the habitual or mechanical or kind of automatic thinking. And we bring a more settled and clear attention to our daily lives. For you to know, you might have guessed based on the quality of daylight in this room, I pre-recorded this session with you because I have a temple commitment this evening. So I'll pass this now to Nancy, who will check in with you about your experience. I look forward perhaps to meeting you one day. I welcome you, of course, to the temple. If what you would like is a quiet place to sit and rest, you're welcome. We're located up by the community forest in Arcata. Thank you very much for taking part in this session and series. All the best to you all.